Hello, I'm astrologer coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon, which will be exact on December 12th at 6:23 p.m. East Coast time, New York time, and 11:23 p.m. London time. Now, the new moon will become exact at 20.5 degrees of Sagittarius, and I will talk about the best and most potent times to set your new moon intentions towards the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. And before we dive in, I just want to mention briefly two things that may be of interest to you. First, I'm excited to say that we have another Solidity Today morning show coming up, which is called Hot Astrology Topics. And that's coming up on December 15th at 8 a.m. New York time. You can catch this via YouTube or later as a recording. Or if you live in California, you can listen in via KMET Radio 98.1 FM at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Now, I will be interviewed by the lovely Brian Wesley Johnson, and I will give a preview about what to expect for 2024. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. You can access the link to join me below this video or via my new moon article. All right. Now, the second thing is I have a brand new offering. I added a 30-minute pet reading to my list of readings. This was inspired by one of my clients who asked me for a reading for her dog, and it was so helpful to her that I thought I would offer it officially as a reading to all my clients. So feel free to check that out. There's also going to be a link below this video for that. Now back to the new moon. With this new moon in optimistic, adventurous, truth-seeking Sagittarius, we are being asked to go beyond our day-to-day knowledge and look for a larger perspective. Now, new moons are a great time to catch our breath, to hit the pause button on our life, and to set some intentions for the lunar cycle. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail towards the end. But some of the things to consider with this new moon chart. This new moon aligns with Mars in Sagittarius. And there are 3 exalted planets in this new moon chart: Neptune in Pisces, Chiron in Aries, and Mercury in Capricorn. That's rare that there's that many exalted energies. Mercury starts its 3-week retrograde phase only 7.5 hours after the new moon becomes exact. So that's a big deal when a planet switches directions right around the time of a lunation, of a new moon or a full moon. And the new moon makes several aspects. It trines an exalted Chiron and the North Node in Aries. It squares an exalted Neptune, and it quincunxes Uranus in Taurus. So we'll go into those as well. And then Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius, is currently in Taurus and opposes Venus in Scorpio and trines a highly exalted Mercury in Capricorn. So more about all of that in a moment. But first, let's start with looking at the Sun-Moon-Mars alignment in Sagittarius. Now, examining our beliefs and their impact on our lives is crucial with this combination. By examining our direct experience, we can gain a deeper understanding of our own reality. So what you can ask yourself here is, with this trio of planets coming together, could I be 5% more mindful of the filters through which I interpret life? And what is my direct experience when I ignore my social cultural conditioning? What do I actually see? What do I actually encounter when I'm not coming from that filter of my social cultural conditioning? Now, we also like to have some good debates with others, with Mars being involved, persuading them to share our beliefs or perspectives. We feel more adventurous and probably also a little bit more impatient, right? Mars wants to move fast, and especially in a fire sign, which Sagittarius is. So ask yourself, where do I insist on being right? And how do I usually feel afterwards when I insist on being right? And does my truth need to be the only truth there is? Maybe there are many truths. Now, we are the editor of our own experience, and interpreting it through our various filters, such as, our childhood conditioning, education that we received when we were younger, religion, culture, gender, nationality. These are all things that influence how we see the world and how we filter life. And so, as best as you can, consider which beliefs and perspectives or attitudes are worth fighting for, and where it might be more beneficial to bring a sense of humor or curiosity to the table. So we really need to kind of be really conscious and aware. What are we giving a really strong meaning, and where do we insist on that meaning? And how can we be a little bit more flexible possibly, and maybe a little bit more curious, what other people are about? Now, there are 3 exalted planets in this new moon chart. Like I said, Neptune, Chiron, Mercury. And we covered all 3 of those stations. That's why they're exalted, right? Because they're stationing in our most recent forecasting forum in relation to our birth charts. So please feel free to watch the video presentation of this if that's of interest to you. And of course, star members already have access to this, and everyone else there's a link below this video that you can click on to purchase the webinar. Now, Mercury comes to a halt and starts its 3-week retrograde phase only 7.5 hours after the new moon becomes exact. And this makes Mercury highly exalted at the time of the new moon. And Mercury is all about communication, collecting and processing information, our inner dialogue, and our decision-making process. Now, one thing you can ask yourself here is, what is in my face now connected to my long-term plans or business dealings? And what about my economic status or my aspirations? What feels out of integrity in my life? So these are some great questions to ask with that station phase. And also remember, when we ask these questions, it's not about finding the answer. It's not about having the answer necessarily. It's about really allowing ourselves to create an open space with these questions so that answers can come to us, so that we get inspired, so that we can feel this sense of connection with the energies as they currently are. Now, during the retrograde phase, which lasts until January 1st, we are invited to reevaluate and reorganize our thoughts and any information we have absorbed or received in the last 3 months since the last Mercury retrograde phase ended. So ask yourself, did I make any major decisions in the past 3 months? Are these decisions in alignment with my long-term goals? And what needs to be reconsidered? Now, feel free to read more about the Mercury retrograde phase via my weekly forecasts. And if you're not yet a member of my online community, you can get access to those weekly forecasts by becoming a member. And the first month of the universal membership is free of charge, and you can cancel anytime. Now, let's talk about the aspects connected to the new moon. The new moon trines an exalted Chiron and the North Node in Aries. It squares an exalted Neptune, and it quincunxes Uranus. So let's start with the trine to the exalted Chiron in Aries and the North Node to see what that's about. Now, a trine is always a harmonious aspect. And so here, a holistic approach to healing insecurities and sensitivities is essential for personal and collective growth. And it involves recognizing feelings of shame and self-deprecating thoughts about our own persona. Now, you can ask yourself here is, how open can I be to being my human self with all my sensitivities and insecurities? And could I embrace those human complexities 5% more when interpreting my life story or someone else's life story? Now, we understand our insecurities and sensitivities fully when we understand them from a holistic place, from a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual place. So ask yourself, what would that look like for me? Might a holistic approach, seeing myself as a spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical being, support my personal growth at this time? And what steps could I take to explore this holistic approach for myself? So we have to remember, holistic just means that we're including everything. That we're not just focused on our mind. We're not just focused on our feelings. We're not just focused on our body. We're really allowing everything to connect. Spirit, emotions, mental, physical. Now, the square to an exalted Neptune in Pisces that the new moon is making invites us to have faith and go with the flow, which might not always be so easy since it's a square, might be a little bit challenging at times. But peace, intuition, and compassion are really essential for our personal growth. As best as you can, avoid hasty decisions and also avoid sacrificing your inner peace for excitement. Now, be compassionate with yourself and others, allowing intuition to guide you, and embrace the flow of life and trust your inner knowing. So ask yourself here, is before enthusiastically moving forward with a project or making assumptions about what is possible, could I tune in and get really clear about my energy body and what is needed right now in this current moment? Now, the quincunx to Uranus in Taurus that the new moon is making could be awkward. There could be an unexpected turn of events that could leave us feeling uneasy or unsettled. And to cope, it's a good idea to embrace uncertainty and discomfort. So ask yourself, could I be 5% more comfortable with being uncomfortable? Or 5% more comfortable embracing uncertainty? And this is something that you always want to practice when a Uranus aspect is somewhere happening, whether that's by transit or whether it's connected to your own birth chart. Because Uranus brings up this need to jolt us out of our day-to-day, to jolt us out of what's no longer working. And so that feels uncomfortable. And getting really comfortable with feeling uncomfortable can really help us make a lot of progress and move more fully into the future and into our own individual process. Now, this quincunx with Uranus could also indicate a certain degree of restlessness and energetic discomfort on our pursuit for more or our need for change. So we need to ask ourselves here, am I feeling particularly impatient? And what needs to shift internally so I can stay open and in alignment with my own talents and preferences? All right, so let's talk a little bit about Jupiter, who is the ruler of Sagittarius, so the ruler of this new moon chart. And Jupiter is currently in Taurus, where it's been since May of this year. And Jupiter opposes Venus in Scorpio and trines a highly exalted Mercury in Capricorn. So let's start with just a little bit talking about what Jupiter in Taurus is all about, since this is the ruler of the new moon chart. So with that, we attract good fortune when we are down to earth and patient, when we're cultivating self-love, self-honoring with an optimistic attitude, and when we're embracing physical pleasures like food, touch, smells, sounds, embracing natural beauty, and all that can create a sense of abundance for us. So ask yourself, how does natural beauty occur for me? And what road might lead to a closer connection to honoring and appreciating the physical world in general, and more specifically, my own physical world, like my body, my money, my stuff that I have, all that physical. So let's talk a little bit about Jupiter opposing Venus. That is asking us to watch out for feeling overly optimistic or enthusiastic in our relationships, the one with ourselves included, and financially speaking. So moderation is really key here. We might be a little bit too over-enthusiastic with regards to finances and our affections. So check your bank account and keep it real. And ask yourself, what is the balancing point for me between what I value in my intimate relationships and my journey towards greater abundance and material security? And what collaborations might support my financial growth and my passionate heart? Now, Jupiter's trine to a highly exalted Mercury in Capricorn is a beautiful thing. And it's going on for quite a while because Mercury is stationing and moving back and forth. So that trine will be in place for quite a while. And this brings a more optimistic view to our long-term goals. We are tolerant of other perspectives and ideas, and we naturally avoid narrow-minded thinking. So ask yourself, what could I learn about my business, my long-term goals, or my standing in society that would expand my horizons? And what might support my abundant approach long-term? Now, that's it in terms of aspects. So to sum it all up for this new moon, if the new moon had a core message, it would be this. Take a deep breath, get centered in your body, and focus on your third eye. This will help you identify any underlying anxiety and channel any restlessness or any restless energy into projects for progress. Finding and living our soul purpose is how we best can serve the world at this time. So never try to keep something going that you intuitively realize is complete and finished. Just move on and go to something that really feels more in alignment with you and gives you energy. So ask yourself, if there was a reason for me to be here, what might that reason be? Where am I headed? What do I believe? And what do I simply know? And then where do I need to take a leap of faith or just trust? So keep looking at what needs to heal, what needs to be communicated, so we can all have a wholehearted connection to ourselves and to others. Now, if you have an ascendant or any personal planets in 18 to 23 degrees of Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, or Pisces, then this new moon will impact you a little bit more than other people. And if you don't have planets or points in those degrees or signs, look to see where 20.5 degrees of Sagittarius lands in your own birth chart. That area of your life will be most impacted by this new moon energy. And watch my class, How to Read Your Birth Chart, if you don't know how to look that up. That's a great class. It's just 30 minutes long. Available for free on my website. You just go to my homepage, you scroll down to the window and where it says free class. And then last but not least, let's talk about our new moon intentions, the best and most potent time to set those for this particular moon cycle. Now, intentions are best done soon after the new moon becomes exact, and we always want to avoid moon void, of course, phases. So this month, the best and most potent time to set our intentions would be anytime between 6:32 p.m. on December 12th and 1:48 a.m. on December 13th. And then again from 10:38 a.m. December 13th until 6:32 p.m. on December 14th. All of that is New York time, East Coast time in the US. So please remember that there will be a moon void, of course, on Wednesday morning, which is December 13th. That runs from 1:48 a.m. until 10:31 a.m. So don't set your intentions during those 8.5 hours. Instead, allow intuition to just come up and allow yourself to be guided by your intuition. Stay quiet, stay calm. And if you live outside the New York time zone, outside East Coast time, I recommend you join my Facebook fan page or you follow me on Twitter, X. I will be posting reminders on December 12, 13, and 14 to let you know when it's the most potent time to set your intentions. All right. Now, for more information about setting intentions, I do have an article on my website at astrologercoach.com. We'll also have a link below this video. Now, have a fantastic new moon. If you are a member, I will see you again in about 2 weeks for the next full moon video to see how far we've come since setting our new moon intentions. And if you're not yet a member of my online community, I will either connect with you on December 15th for my next radio show, or I will see you in about 4 weeks for my next new moon video. And if I don't see you before the end of the year, have a fantastic transition into 2024. Much love, and as best as you can, take good care of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being.